Hello everybody, this is Mrs. Barber and I'm coming to you from my dining room. Not the usual place I teach, but I'm going to do a few things from home every day just for you, my favorite students. In the background you can maybe hear Mr. Barber playing his guitar in the basement, and Rose is reading right now. And occasionally Aya, the cat, jumps on the table, so she may be in our stories. Who knows who will show up. But each day I'm going to bring you a little message like this, just a little hello, and a story, and a poem or a joke. And the stories and poems or jokes might be something you've heard before, and it's always fun to revisit something that we love when we're stuck inside for a little while, and use our imaginations or notice something new. And at the end, there'll be an activity, and I've already started collecting some things around my house for activities, some recyclables, some markers, old papers, because we're going to be making some things or doing guided drawing each day. So this is our first day, and I'm going to read a story that I know you loved last week. I love to visit a story that we've heard before and notice something special or have a great memory with that book. And so today's book is Frederick, and I'm going to begin now. Frederick by Leo Leone. During this story, think about what you're saving up in your own house right now. What kinds of imagination things are you saving up to share with your family on these days that are a little bit different than the normal days? Because I know you're smart and you have lots of great ideas in your mind. Frederick. All along the meadow, where the cows grazed and the horses ran, there was an old stone wall. In that wall, not far from the barn and the granary, a chatty family of field mice had their home. But the farmers had moved away, the barn was abandoned, and the granary stood empty. And since winter was not far off, the little mice began to gather corn and nuts and wheat and straw. They all worked day and night. All except Frederick. Frederick, why don't you work? They asked. I do work, said Frederick. I gather sun rays for the cold, dark winter days. And when they saw Frederick sitting there staring at the meadow, they said, And now, Frederick, I gather colors, answered Frederick simply, for winter is gray. And once Frederick seemed half asleep. Are you dreaming, Frederick? They asked reproachfully, but Frederick said, Oh no, I am gathering words, for the winter days are long and many, and we'll run out of things to say. The winter days came. When the first snow fell, the 5 little field mice took to their hideout in the stones. In the beginning, there was lots to eat, and the mice told stories of foolish foxes and silly cats. They were a happy family. But little by little, they had nibbled up most of the nuts and berries. The straw was gone, and the corn was only a memory. It was cold in the wall, and no one felt like chatting. Then they remembered what Frederick had said about sun rays and colors and words. What about your supplies, Frederick? They asked. And how about the colors, Frederick? They asked anxiously. Close your eyes again, Frederick said. And when he told them of the blue periwinkles, the red poppies, and the yellow wheat, and the green leaves of the berry bush, they saw the colors as clearly as if they'd been painted in their minds. And the words, Frederick. Frederick cleared his throat, waited a moment, and then, as if from a stage, he said, Who scatters snowflakes? Who melts the ice? Who spoils the weather? Who makes it nice? Who grows the 4-leaf clovers in June? Who dims the daylight? Who lights the moon? 4 little field mice who live in the sky. 4 little field mice like you and I. One is the spring mouse who turns on the showers. Then comes the summer who paints in the flowers. The fall mouse is next with walnuts and wheat, and winter is last with little cold feet. Aren't we lucky the seasons are four? Think of a year with one less or one more. When Frederick had finished, they all applauded. But Frederick, they said, you're a poet. Frederick blushed, took a bow, and shyly said, I know it. I like rereading this story and thinking about the ways that you're bringing some cheer into your mommy and daddy's life right now. Maybe you're making up a game for a brother or sister, or just to entertain yourself. This is one of my very favorite books, and I love sharing it with you today. So next we'll do a poem today. And I found a very silly Shel Silverstein poem about a tiny guy. And I thought this will be the perfect one today because Frederick is a tiny little guy that makes a big difference just like you. And this is by Shel Silverstein, and I'll be reading a lot of these poems to you guys. 1 inch tall. If you were only 1 inch tall, you'd ride a worm to school. The teardrop of a crying ant would be your swimming pool. A crumb of cake would be a feast and last you 7 days at least. A flea would be a frightening beast if you were 1 inch tall. If you were only 1 inch tall, you'd walk beneath the door, and it would take about a month to get down to the store. A bit of fluff would be your bed. You'd swing upon a spider's thread and wear a thimble on your head if you were 1 inch tall. You'd surf across the kitchen sink upon your stick of gum. You could hug your mama. You just have to hug her thumb. You'd run from people's feet in fright. To move a pen would take all night. This poem took 14 years to write, 'cause I'm just 1 inch tall. I like today's poem. So today's activity is just a simple guided drawing. And each day it'll be something different. Tomorrow might be another drawing or a little puzzle or something for you to do with me from your home. So I'm just going to be inspired by the last 2 stories and use my imagination, because you're going to need to do that at your house and be Frederick or be silly, make mom and dad happy, which I know you can and you already have. So I think I'm going to draw Mrs. Barber riding on a snail. Maybe you can draw too if you have a pencil and a paper or a marker. So I'm just going to draw a little guy. Here is my snail. I really like drawing snails because they are easy and you don't even have to lift your pen from the paper. Here's a guy. He doesn't mind. He's about to ride your teacher around. Here I am. A dress is easy to draw. And here is my hair. And it actually looks like that right now. Here I am riding a snail. See you tomorrow. Sweet dreams tonight.